There seems to be some confusion about John F. Kennedy issuing debt-free money and was the reason why he was killed. One of the things they talk about is this executive order right here. Executive order 11110. Okay. And there's certain people like Michael Collins Piper's book, Final Judgment, and this still. Okay. Here is Executive Order 111110. Okay, first of all, it's talking about, here's another Executive Order 10289, as amended, relating to the performance of certain functions affecting the Department of Treasury. Okay, I looked up this executive order, and it seems to be talking about taxation of ships in foreign trade. So it's kind of hard to understand how that is affecting this. Apparently, some clause in that it has something to do with that. I didn't look up this one here. Here's what it says. Okay. The authority vested in the President of the United States, paragraph B, section 43 of the Act of May 12, 1933. That Act of 1933 had something to do with the Reconstruction. So I'm assuming that 1933 Act gave the President the power to change currencies and remedies to reconstruct for the wars after the World War I. So that's probably where he's getting the power. But anyway, as amended, the President has the power to issue silver certificates, as amended, okay, to issue silver certificates against any silver bullion, silver standard, silver dollar, or treasury not then held for redemption of any outstanding silver certificates, to prescribe the denomination of such silver certificates, and to coin standard silver and subsidiary silver currency for their redemption. As you notice, many of these things are very complicated. The language is hard to understand, and I think that a lot of times they do that deliberately so that people have no idea what they're talking about. So you have to pay a lawyer a lot of money, and also they can hide their secrets and what they're doing. So it's hard to get to the bottom of it, but this appears to be as amended. That this is saying that the president has the ability to issue, to issue these silver certificates, and that's what was doing. I know there were silver certificates issued during the Kennedy administration that were not issued before. Piper and that Bill still say that's not what happened. That is what happened. They were not issuing silver certificates before or after. That 63 when Kennedy did it. So obviously, getting through all the gobbledygook, this is what it is. And talking about prescribing, redemption of any outstanding silver certificates or whatever. That's the old silver certificates, and it has to do with money based on the value of silver. There's a lot of stuff about silver, like they put codes in the movie. I think it might have something to do with that latest Lone Ranger movie. Well, it's always keeps coming up with silver. Ohio silver. His horse's name is Silver. He's got silver bullets. And then in the movie, they're robbing a bank, which is kind of what this is all about. Robbing the banks, robbing from the Banksters in their scam with silver. And they were also in that movie, they had a huge trainload of silver, which was going to destroy the country and blah, blah, blah. Since I have yet to figure out, whenever they issue these greenbacks that are interest-free, the Treasury seal is always printed with red ink for some reason. This is the normal one. This is on a normal dollar. These are the greenbacks. There's various ones. Okay, this was the first United States dollar. Okay, here's another. This was, let's see, I don't think that was Lincoln's. I'm trying to find the date on it. Okay, the red seal. If they're like debt-free. Another thing you notice that's missing on the back of this pyramid, the Illuminati pyramid, is not there. So the idea of gold standard, silver standard, or null standard fiat money based on nothing isn't really the point, okay? Because it doesn't matter what the money is based on, as long as the general public considers it to be legal tender and buys and trades with it. That's really all that matters. There's even private groups that have come up with their own script. You know, as long as everybody in that group recognizes it as a legal tender, it's good in that group. The real issue isn't gold, silver, or whatever. It's the real issue is debt-based money versus non-debt-based money. Debt money. You know, here's the national debt right now. $60 trillion. It goes up $10,000 a second. 2 to 4 seconds, that's a year's wages for an average American. It's all about money. It always comes down to the common denominator is always money. All right, that's what it's about. And it's Bill Still and Piper that are going on about, you know, silver versus gold standard, or trying to say that, you know, Kennedy didn't issue debt-free. Well, Piper admits it. He said in his book, he says he issued debt-free money, but then he says, well, he revoked the silver standard. No, he didn't. He was issuing silver certificates. I just, you know, showed you some. They have the red seal on them. And he was issuing real silver dollars, real silver coins. I remember when I was a kid, I used to have a paper route. And during the Kennedy era, for a couple years, or I think 1 or 2, maybe it was just 63 was the only year. You could find 1963 coins. I mean, 63 and maybe 64 coins were made of silver. And every once in a while, well, I didn't find a single silver quarter. Well, no, I think I found a couple silver quarters, maybe one silver, and I was at a paper route. I used to collect, so I got hands on a lot of coins, went through my hands. And I had a coin collection. And I could find pennies going all the way back to 1909, nickels going back to 1925 and everything. And I could find plenty of dimes and quarters and silver dollars before 64, before the silver, and plenty after. But you couldn't find any. There were still a few quarters and very few dimes. This was in the late 70s. Now you can't find any, even a silver dime. They don't exist. And those red sealed silver certificates, they don't exist. They've all been removed from circulation, all of them. The only place that you'll find one of those is in the hands of a private collector. So, I don't know, when Piper and Bill's still trying to say that he didn't issue silver certificates, or that's not important, I don't know. They're either confused or they're spewing disinformation. As thorough as these guys seem to be with their research, it's hard for me to believe that they're confused. I'm pretty sure it's disinformation. Unless Bill still looks looks like he's got that Jewish nose. I don't know. Piper, I think I've seen a picture of him, but it's been a long time. In his book, Final Judgment, says Israel is the only ones that had the means, the motive, and the money to be able to really pull this off. No, Israel isn't. Israel wouldn't have enough money to do it. International Jewry, you could say maybe, but international Jewry basically are the banks pretty much. So, who is the one who actually did the hit? Well, there's no question the Secret Service were involved with it. They either did the hit or they had to stand down and allow the hit to take place. Now, there may have been mafia assassins involved as decoys. Maybe even a couple of them took a couple shots at the guy. I don't know. Completely involved. They had to stand down and let it happen or do the hit. And they were also involved. They were in charge of everything. They were in charge of the CIA, the FBI, the Dallas police. They are in charge and control of everything. And they're in control of the investigation. So the Secret Service are key to the whole thing. You could not kill the president unless the Secret Service is on your payroll, okay? Who does the Secret Service work for? The U.S. Treasury. All right? I was shocked when I found that out. The legislation to enact the Secret Service was on the desk of Abraham Lincoln the night he was assassinated, who was also messing with the money, issuing debt-free money. That's the whole key right there. It's about debt-free money. Nobody else would have the money to pay off everybody, including the government, the Warren Commission, congressmen, world media, not just U.S. media, the entire world media, and other governments. The only ones that has that kind of money to pay off everybody involved are the banks. And they are also the one that have the primary motives. There are a lot of people that had motives to kill Kennedy. A lot of people didn't like Kennedy. He did a lot of things. He was pissing off the mafia. He was pissing off the Jewish mafia. He was, pissing off the Texas oil man, pissing off Israel. He was pissing off a lot of people, okay, trying to clean up the country, okay. But the only ones that would have had the means and the money and also the motivation, 60 trillion reasons, okay, $60 trillion debt we have right now. The only ones is the banks. William Cooper said the driver killed Kennedy. Now, I've talked about this before. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's nonsense because the new enhanced versions of the Zapruder film, you can't see the driver shooting Kennedy. Well, the Zapruder film, as I'm not going to get into this one, but I talked about in other videos and I've shown, is completely tampered with. You can't. The Zapruder film is completely useless to use as evidence or proof of anything. All the witnesses said the back of his head was blown up, but the Zapruder film looks like the top of his head is blowing up, which would indicate a shot from down below, which isn't likely. And there's even some disinformation that Jackie shot him, MK Ultra agent. Now, all of them said the back of his head was blown out, which indicates a shot from the left front, which was where the driver was sitting. There is a bullet hole in the windshield, but it looks to me like it's too high to be from the overpass. So it's almost certain the driver did it. It's been edited out. 50-some witnesses said the car came to a stop. You don't see that in the Zapruder film. A lot of people say, well, how could he get away with it? People would see it. Well, there probably were people that saw the driver shoot him, but, they were all threatened, and several of them died shortly thereafter, suicided, or got in car accidents or whatever. Realize this area where Kennedy was shot, there weren't that many witnesses around compared to some places. The streets were just packed with people. There were just a few people around here. And I remember reading one, I think from the Warren Commission, there was a black couple, or a couple of blacks, and right after the shot, they threw their coat down and shattered, and they took off running. If they had seen the driver turn around and shoot Kennedy, they probably would be figuring, hey, this is not a good idea to stick around here. Let's get the hell out of here, most people aren't going to talk if they see something like that, okay? It's one thing if some guy runs out of the crowd and comes up and shoots the president, okay? It's another thing if the driver turns around and shoots him and the president's bodyguard just sits there staring straight ahead. Almost anybody with half an ounce of common sense knows something funny's going on there. Most people don't talk. Anyway, I don't think there's any question that it was the Banksters that did Kennedy. All the evidence, all the facts show that it was the Banksters. There were other players involved, yeah, no doubt, but it was the Banksters who were the main ringleaders in the whole thing. And they used the Secret Service to actually do the hit and cover it up.